This is Mitt Romney. He was being interviewed about marijuana or medicinal marijuana. He didn't like the question. He says, ask me something about, the economy or something like that, or Iran or whatever. Just don't, I mean, what is this? Why is this so important? Then he finally got on with it and he goes, I think marijuana should not be legal in this country because I believe it's a gateway drug and leads to harder drugs. Great. It's standard line, but, talking about medicinal marijuana, and actually I would have put the question to him, medicinal marijuana oil. But since this clown brought up about the economy, I would have stated to him, and I damn wish I was asking these questions. But we all know the damn answer what would happen. But let me put it this way: if he put up the economy as something that he was more concerned about, I would say, well, what about industrial hemp? Industrial hemp doesn't have any drug use. The THC has basically been taken out of it through the way it's been interbred. The French actually came up with industrial hemp that has no THC in it. You can't get high off of it, so it's not a drug. But industrial hemp will could be grown enough to replace all the crude oil all the oil that we get from the OPEC nations in the Middle East. It produces up to 10 times the amount of gasoline than corn does, with less than half the fertilizer, and almost no pesticides and absolutely no herbicides. So it's very cheap to produce, and it grows 15 to 20 feet high inside of 4 months. So that's an economic boon. And it could replace this thing here, crude oil, which I have, with the red rectangle around, which basically is the main backers of Mitt Romney. Now, I don't want to sound like I'm a very critical person of Republicans, because Obama, I would just call him a socialist communist. Basically, that's the choice you got in this country between the big business, crude oil, pharmaceutical, and chemical industry, which is the Republican Party, and the Communist Socialist Party, which is the Democratic Party. Bunch of garbage, actually. And you got Ron Paul, which I'm not too sure about, but I can't figure even if he was legit, how the hell he's going to win. So, anyway, I think that, the questions need to be put more to these people. And, if actually you say you had 100 million people in this United States vehemently for industrial hemp, and you ask these jerks, these politicians, and he says, well, what about it? What about it? Well, we have to study it. That would be their next freaking damn thing. We have to study it. Oh, well, it could be mixed with regular marijuana. How do we know? Well, the one grows 15, 20 feet high. If you had a marijuana plant in there, it wouldn't have any sun, and it would be dead. That's why they can't mix. And, they'll come up with a million things to stall. But if you got 100 million people in this country very much behind industrial hemp or medicinal marijuana oil, actually, just do it. In the case of California, a lot of places it's already legal to grow. There's a county that's legal to grow medicinal marijuana for personal use. Now, those people they'll smoke it, which has some benefits, I assume. I never smoked it, so I don't know what the heck the benefits are for that, but it's pain management. But the best use of it actually is producing the medicinal marijuana oil. Now, some of those people produce that oil. That has a very wide range of cures out there for cancer, Crohn's disease, AIDS, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and various other things, skin ailments, you name it. It works very, very, very well. The problem is they hate it is because it's a plant, and actually, if it actually got into widespread production, it would put the pharmaceutical industry out of business. But think about what good are the pharmaceutical industry actually doing people if they're thwarting something that is a plant that actually is better. How are the pharmaceutical people benefiting people by stopping this product from coming to market? They're not. They're not. And it's like you really can't talk to the politicians because basically they're a bunch of, they're like the E! Channel, they're like Hollywood, and it's the same garbage. They're in there for themselves, it's an ego, and they're throwing out a sales pitch. Well, my statement is, you're not going to exactly be able to reason with these people because they know better, and they're basically working for somebody else, you know. But I would put hardball questions to these people. It's like, you know, medicinal marijuana, that's fine. But, you know, the next question would be, you know, medicinal marijuana oil could save the lives of many, many, many people. And you're saying it should be illegal? Well, why can't marijuana be grown in greenhouses that are controlled in a controlled environment that people who are trying to get drugs or something would not have access to? I mean, actually, if you're talking about drugs, if you take glue, that's a drug. Somebody could sniff that and get high off it. That comes from, like, the chemical companies. So why is that not illegal? You know? That's the thing. And actually, it shouldn't be illegal, because if anybody wants to do anything stupid, they can do anything stupid at any time if that's their will. If they want to walk off the side of a cliff, I mean, a person wants to do that, well, guess what? How are you going to prevent them from doing that? You can't. You can't. So, I mean, you can't stop people from doing stupid things. That's really what it comes down to. And, you know, in a case, I know I'm coming from a person who never smoked marijuana. I'm not even taking up for it from that instance, from that angle. Now, people like with alcohol in this country, they try to stop that very well. We know why they try to stop that. There was Rockefeller behind that. He didn't like the alcohol sales in competition with his gasoline product that came from crude oil. So Rockefeller funded the women's abolitionists, and they basically pushed along prohibition. Prohibition. Well, also, the crude oil industry does not like marijuana, medicinal marijuana oil, because the crude oil industry is all linked in with the pharmaceutical industry, and the crude oil industry does not like industrial hemp, because industrial hemp is actually a far more important and viable, and it has far more uses than crude oil does. It could be used for many more things. That would be their most important commodity in the world, industrial hemp. So they don't like it. So what I got to say is, you got to keep putting the questions to them all the time, and don't cut him any huss. Don't cut him any huss at all. This guy is a bunch of garbage too, unfortunately. And, you know, I don't like Obama, and I don't like this guy. So, and, you know, I know even Ron Paul say if I voted for him, it's like I don't even know if he's legit, even if he got in. But I would not get too much behind these damn politicians. I would be more worried about any individual effort you can do to basically thwart the garbage that's going on. You know, in the case of people actually, you know, it could just be verbal, but, you know, in the case of, say, people are growing marijuana in legal states, and for medicinal purposes, maybe they can make some of the oil and, you know, help people that are sick. I don't know. But you see, once that kind of word gets out where people are actually, it does work, and keep spreading the word. And don't put the power in these jerks, these politicians, because what they'll do is they'll play, or, you know, the politicians basically work for the big companies. What the big companies will do is they'll play a stalling game. Even when you show them the light and you're like, oh yeah, this really works, they'll play the stalling game. And they'll think of any way to trip you up. Don't try to explain it to them. You got to be about as cunning as they are. So I think that's about all I could say. But you got to be very cunning, very shrewd, and just do what you got to do. I mean, basically, it's individual efforts that make the difference. You're not gonna. Don't ask. You know. It's like asking, I don't know, the power that's trying to screw you over. You know, trying to explain it to them. I don't know how that's gonna work. Right? Doesn't seem like it would it?